Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Storm Arena Street Fighter Alpha 3 RYU. This is the international packaging, does not say Alpha on there. People have asked me, so I'll talk about it right off the bat. Is this a review sample from Storm? No, they have not provided me review samples for a very long time. I got this through my connections at Big Bad Toy Store, who have connections at Storm that way. Storm does not provide me review samples ever since. I guess they went a different direction in what they were looking for. But I do have this to review for you, and I am very excited. You guys know I'm a huge Street Fighter collector, and this was going to be a big deal, and it is. Thankfully, it turned out to be as big a deal as we were hoping it would be. So let's go ahead and get this guy off the stand and take a closer look. Now, before I do show you the figure, I want to show you my package, and it is a good package. It might not be as striking as some of the previous Storm packaging, but I love the back of it. This setup is very nice. I like that a whole bunch. Side's pretty good. This side's about the same, and the front's fine. It's just I expected a little bit more window maybe, but it's still a good-looking package, no problem at all. And of course, we are talking about a way different price point than normal Storm, and we will mention that in just a moment. But yeah, very, very nice packaging, especially the back. I love this whole thing that they have going on. That's very cool. All right, so if you're into packaging, I assume the regular packaging is going to be basically the exact same thing other than this. That's my hunch, but, well, anywhere that shows up. But that should be it. Okay, so we have to do a little bit of housekeeping here just because this is kind of a special review. I will be reviewing this just as a standard review. That's what this video is. I'll be doing comparisons to the Jada stuff in a separate video. And I'm going to do Ken in a separate video also, just because we need to have individual reviews for these figures. Okay? Alright, so I will note they are available for pre-order at Big Bad Toy Store. I don't know what the prices are now after the prices have changed due to all this stuff going on, but these guys were 25 bucks originally. I think they went up to 30, and maybe they're a little bit more now, maybe. I don't know, but it's a steal of a price. These are in contention for the price point of Marvel Legends. So, you know, that's same thing with Jada, really. Alright, so he's just about 16 centimeters to the top of his head, and that's going to make him about 6 1/4 inches. Like I said, we're doing comparisons in a separate video, but we will do a few height comparisons just so you guys have an idea of what the arena line is looking like. There he is up against Marvel Legends, average height roughly. Darwin. We'll do a couple more just to dot the T's and cross the I's. So there he is up against one of the Jada figures, which isn't RYU, because the RYU is like exactly the same height basically, so I thought that would be kind of pointless. But there he is up against DJ. Alright, and then one other height comparison I want to do in this review, just for the people who are wanting to do like Marvel vs. Capcom type stuff. And there you go. That's what he looks like up against the Marvel Legends Minimum Hulk. Okay, now let's do a question of the day. Which version of the Street Fighter characters do you prefer the most? You can go by artwork for the games, you can go about game sprites, however you want to do it. For me, artwork-wise, I don't really care. I guess I like Alpha a lot for the artwork, but I think I'd have to go with Street Fighter 2 Turbo artwork. I like that the most, probably. And then for sprites, I have to go with, I think, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, or SVC Chaos. I like those sprites a lot. Okay, let's get into this. This is Alpha. I've heard some people say this looks nothing like RYU. It looks exactly like RYU in his Alpha version. So that's great. So let's go ahead and get into the aesthetic on this guy. I'll start with the head and face. Storm has had some trouble with heads and faces. This is not one of them. This is wonderful. It's very, very, very nicely done. It's super clean, super accurate. No complaints. Like, that is exactly what he should look like. It's very, very nice. And then basically the same thing for the entire body. Since we're talking about the aesthetic, this is what it should look like. This is exactly what I've been wanting, basically, like when Jada came out. And so I want to get this clear too. I'm not for or against either of these companies, and then the opposite for the other. I am for both of them. I'm not one of those people that's like, you have to like Jada or Storm. You can't like both. No, I'm all for both. They're both excellent lines of figures. But the problem I had with Jada was that kind of weird soft sculpt that they had going on, this kind of cartoonish look. This is what I wanted right here. This is exactly it. It looks exactly the way it should. And Storm, who is known for making their figures rather brickish, have nailed it. And they did it by cheating, which is the right way to do it. When you have an extra layer of clothing on here, you have to make the people skinny on the inside. And I'll show you when we get to a different section in the review what he looks like underneath. It's not terrible, but they definitely cheated in order to make this look as good as it does. And boy, does it. It is just exactly what it should look like. Proportioning is great. It has the right stylization. Like, there's really not much more you could want. It has a nice matte or flat finish everywhere. There's shading throughout the skin. There's shading throughout the clothes. It's just what it should be. It's really, really well done. Like I said, we're going to do the comparison thing in a separate video with Jada. Obviously, there will be some mention of them because they are contemporary action figure lines of the same IP, so it stands to reason that you'll talk about it some, but I'm not going to do a direct comparison for everything. But yeah, this looks really, really good everywhere. There's texture in the clothing. We'll get in tight so you can see that. Texture in the clothing, nice wrinkling. And then, like I said, the skin tones and everything. It's just exactly what it should be. There's nothing else for me to say. I mean, I guess I could go in and talk about how good every little detail is, but it's like... okay, I do have one thing. I'm not just going to gush, because I'm going to review this straight up, and you guys know I don't. I don't have a problem mentioning things that could be better. According to the photos of this figure, and then comparing those to this, his white is off a little bit. There's kind of like a yellowish tinge to it, just a touch. It's not bad by any means. It's like, I'm not saying don't buy the figure or anything like that, but you could notice it, and it could be something that stands out. It's obvious here because his head tie is white, and then this has like a greenish. It's not just because they're shading on it. There's like a greenish yellowish tinge to it, which you could argue is maybe intentional, but it's typically grayish or bluish, or just more neutral gray in the artwork. But either way, it looks gorgeous. It is everything I want in a 6-inch Street Fighter action figure of Ryu. It is wonderful. Other than its alpha, I'd probably would want Street Fighter 2 and then 3. I want all of them. But yeah, it's wonderful. So aesthetics, for the price point, 9.9 out of 10. 9.9 out of 10, really, really good. Now, as far as accessories go, we have the 2 fist hands, we have the 2 open hands, and somebody asked me to talk about this, so I will. The hands are a soft material. I'm assuming that's just because that's how Storm does hands on all their figures, and it allows them to be swapped out more easily. And they don't need to hold things, so it's fine. So yeah, you get the fist hands, you get the open hands for the Hadoken, and that's fine. And then for heads, you get the neutral head, and then you get the angry head, and both look really good. And that's nice. That's all you really need. But you do also get the fireball, which is it's a pretty nice fireball. It's pretty transparent. The saturation is pretty good. Looks nice. Now here's the thing, and I don't know if my package is missing parts or what, but we're going to talk about the display stand now. Because the display stand, I'll mention it a little bit, then I'll get back to the fireball. It's probably a little bit over complex. It's we don't need to reinvent the wheel here. Like when they released their Street Fighter line, they came out with their first Street Fighter line, the collectibles line. They came out with their own display stand, and they were including them in every figure. And then they stopped, and I'm glad they did because they were bulky and just way too much. And this is basically the same sort of thing. So how this works is, you take the clip part, put it around the figure, and hope you don't break it, and then you wedge it down onto here. And it pinches him and holds it in place. But you can see it's just really bulky and not good to look at. It's pretty weird looking. Now functionally, it has the ratcheting type thing going all the way up, the teeth that go all the way up. That's fine. It has teeth on the hinge, and then you can also rotate. So like it has the ability to hold a figure effectively, but it's a bit much. It's a bit much. And you do get an alternate clip part that's black metal. I don't know why exactly, but you do. Okay, so that's fine, I guess. But here's the weird thing. They went with the little peg piece that they normally do for their Storm Collectibles effect parts. So you just put that on there, and then you have a hole in the fireball, but I only have the one peg piece. Like, I have more from other figures, so I'll be able to deal with this, but unless he's kicking fireballs from his knees, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that. Am I just missing a piece? Like, one more piece would be a decent height. I don't know if my package just is missing one of these or what, but as it is, it's useless. I can't use his fireball with what's in the package, not effectively. So that's a bit of a bummer. But otherwise, accessories are good. The display stand, I like that they're including a display stand. It is a weird display stand though. But again, for the price point, that's very good, so we will go 9 out of 10. But if I can't use the fireball, that is a problem. I'm hoping it's just a missing piece. We'll see. Okay, so now let's talk about the articulation, because that's kind of an important thing. And Jada nailed it, and Storm has nailed articulation in the past, so let's see if they were able to do it at a smaller scale. So it's worth mentioning, the outer layer of clothing for the shirt is a very soft material, so that's nice. This part moves, and then you also can move this part, okay? All right, so they don't have the soft neck like they did on their big figures. They have the regular ball peg in the neck and double ball peg at the top. And it works wonderfully because they've done what I always say to do, is put that ball right at the top, right where you want all that motion, and they did. And it works really nicely. You can move his head around effortlessly in any direction, whatever you want to do. That's exactly how you want to do that. And for those of you who like the neck joint, he has it. If you don't like it, well, it's not like it's ugly or anything, but it does add some functionality. It seems to be like you guys are pretty much split right down the middle as far as adding the neck joint in there. But he has it, so there you go. Now, for the shoulders, it's not the same as the regular Storm figures, even though he does have a soft chest. I don't know if we were thinking that he was going to, or that these were going to, but he does have a soft chest. It's not like the skeleton on the big Storm figures. It's mostly just a hinge that comes forward. And it's not the best looking thing. Butterflies typically aren't, but it is functional enough. And with the clothes on, you're not going to get as much range, and I'll show you what it looks like without the clothes on if you want to see that. But you can bring the arm forward, and it's fairly functional. Again, this is a $25 figure, so this is extraordinary. But it still needs to work for what it is, even if it's $25. If they put a joint there, it has to work. It does have some vertical range. I haven't taken it apart to see exactly what's going on in there, but you do get vertical movement up and down. It does go back some also. So yeah, it's a very functional butterfly joint. Not the best looking butterfly joint, but there is no such thing. So that's okay. All right, and then for the shoulder, you do get on the hinge up to horizontal, and then you can lift it up just a little bit more, but not much. So a little bit limit. I mean, like, you don't need to go higher than horizontal. That's fine, but it doesn't have just like unlimited range. So that's fine though. Okay, and then full rotation, of course, no problem there. It's not loose. It is super smooth though. I don't know what plastic they used and if it's lubricated or not, but man, it's like these joints are nice. They are creamy joints, very good. Bicep swivel, no problem, works just fine. Double jointed elbow, super functional, no problem at all. Not bad looking at the side. When you look directly at it, it's not the best looking thing, but it's very nicely done, and they don't have those gaps that some people hated on the Storm collectibles, so that's very nice also. Very good. And then for the wrists, you get your ball hinge with your floating wrist part of the glove, so that's going to hide the joint pretty well, and then the soft hands do swap out very easily. So good arm articulation there. Now for his torso, we have a cut here, which you can't see, and then we have some weirdness going on in here. And what we're going to do for that part of the review is look at Ken, because I already took his clothes off. And this is what I was talking about earlier. They did cheat. Like, it's not an ugly torso, but it is very skinny right here. And they did that to get extra room for the clothing to fit without looking super bulky. So, like, yeah, can you pose them like this with the shirt off? Sure, but I mean, they don't have nips. They don't have any meat on their sides at all. The abs are way proud. They stick out a lot. So it's kind of a weird look, but it's meant to work with the clothing. But as far as the articulation goes, like I said, this is soft. You don't get a ton of range on it, though. Leaning him back, they only go about that far back. And then as far as going forward, very limited going forward on that top joint as well, which is unfortunate because you don't need to be that limited, but you'll see they make up for it. Leaning side to side, almost nothing. Like, it is very limited. So I'm not sure what's going on with this top joint and why it doesn't have better range. It does rotate very nicely, so that's good. Now here's the interesting part. They did this crunch piece, which is like on paper, I don't think it's a great idea. It does work though. And here's why I don't think it's a great idea, other than it doesn't look great. We'll lean him back without using the crunch, just to show you what kind of range you can get out of a ball. He's got pretty good range. Pretty good range without using that crunch. And you can do that with balls, so I don't know that the crunch is necessary, but the way they've done it, he can't lean forward very far without the crunch. But with the crunch, he can lean forward very far, and that's not using the hips at all. So they do have very good range in the torso. It's definitely not the best looking situation, but it is functional. And that ball peg that does lean back nicely, it does lean side to side nicely, and it rotates. So without using that crunch, you still get a ton of good range. And I think if they tweaked it a little bit, they could have gotten most of it, if not all of it, without adding this extra cut. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but it is nice that they do have generally decent looking bodies under their clothing. It's a little bit weird, but it is super functional. Less functional with the clothing on, but that's to be expected. Like I said, this part spins right here, and let's talk about the hips. This is another thing I'm not thrilled about. I don't hate it because they did a good job with it, but we have drop-down hips, which just really aren't necessary. We've seen enough figures at this point that get really good range without it, so having to deal with that hassle is unfortunate, but theirs are not loose or floppy or anything, so that's all right. But let's see, going out to the side, do we get full splits? Yes, we get full-on splits, no nuggets or anything like that. You do just get the big old ball in there, which is the way to go, so that's good. Full-on splits, bring the legs forward. You do have to use that drop down, and they still don't go like extra high or anything. So the drop down's unfortunate. I wish they would have worked around it rather than having to do a drop down, but he can at least kick forward, and then kicking back because the butt is soft, you can do it. It stretches the butt a little bit, but yeah, you can get those hips moving, which is nice. Like, they're functional, and all the joints are smooth. They're not too tight, they're not too loose. No complaints about the stiffness on this guy at all so far. Thigh swivel is a standard thigh swivel. Double jointed knee works really nicely. No problem at all there. That's good. And then you do get your shin swivel at the pants. So that's going to be good. And then, contrary to every other Storm figure they've ever released, all of their collectibles figures, the ankles work really nicely. They go all the way back, which is sometimes the case on the collectibles figures, but they actually go forward this time. Now, the thing is, they don't go forward a ton, but they do go forward. So the ankles are better. You can see they cut out more of the plastic at the top there, so that's good. You do get a toe hinge, which is nicely placed. They still added that little notch. Don't know why they do that, but it's a decent enough toe hinge. It's just really unfortunate that they put that notch in there, but they did. Either way, it works, and then you do get an ankle rocker, which is very nice as well. So the leg articulation, really, it works no problem, other than I don't like drop downs. They're annoying, but it's super functional. So that's really good. I'll give this guy's articulation. I don't really have any huge gripes. I can't think of anything that's not functional enough. Like, especially at the price point, it's exceptional. Really good. I'm gonna go 9.8 out of 10, just because I don't know that we needed that extra joint in the torso. I think it would have worked probably almost as well, if not as well, without it. But yeah, really good. Same thing with the drop downs. I'm not sure those are helpful, but it's really, really good. Okay, so we have gone over the aesthetic. It is wonderful. We've gone over the accessories. They are fine for the price point. The stand is weird and I can't use the fireball, but the rest is pretty good. And the articulation is unproblematic in every way, really. Everything about this figure is exactly what you want it to be, and it comes in at an incredible price point. Very, very nicely done. I am thrilled. I am thrilled that Storm is doing this. Storm is probably my favorite company at the moment, or for a long time now. And for them to be doing a scale that I actually want them to be working in, and it's their best RYU yet, I am just absolutely thrilled with this. I'm going to give this guy an overall rating of 9.9 out of 10. I think that is the highest. I'm not saying it's the only one, but it is the highest rating I've ever given, because I don't give perfect 10s, because nothing's perfect. It's not going to be when it's on a budget. Everything's on a budget, so that makes sense. But you're not going to be able to do better for your money than this. It's just not going to happen. I'm going to do a comparison video with the Jada figure so that you guys can see, but this wins. This wins. This is to Jada what Jada is to Soda in a lot of the releases anyway. Not everyone, but this one wins for sure. If you have to pick one RYU, this is the one to go with. But I will do a video for that so you can see every little thing broken down. Alright, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. That's enough from me. That was a long one, but hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day, or at least I will again soon. I was sick for like a week and a half, but I'll get back to it soon. And I do have thousands of videos already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.